this is Marika, and today I am here to discuss another topic under human relation, that is group dynamics. So in our previous session, we have seen what is a group, what is an individual and a group, how individual and groups are interrelated, and what are the functions of an individual within a group. So today we are going to see another aspect of group, that is group dynamic. Group is when several individuals come together to accomplish a specific task. Why do they come together? What is their aim in order to achieve a certain task? Now let us see what is group dynamics. The word group dynamics was first created by Kurt Lewin, who is a social psychologist. Okay, there was a social psychologist called Kurt Lewin, and he was the first person to coin the word group dynamics. We study the process that is involved when people in group interact. So when there are people in a group, people come together, they form a group. Now how do these people in the group interact with one another? There is a process for everything. So what is the process involved in the interaction of those groups? The study of that is group dynamics. Now group dynamics is also said to be the study of certain activities and process that are responsible for various group phenomena. So any activity or any process involved which is responsible for the group phenomena, when we study those activities, when we study those process that is involved when people are interacting in a group, we term it as group dynamics. Group process is involved. So what is the group process? Now group process, it refers to an insight into the behavior of group members and their behavior towards achievement of the goal. We look into the behavior of an individual within the group and their behavior towards the accomplishment of a given task. Let us see how does a group develop. What is the process of group development? Forming a group or having a group is not a spontaneous process. That means it doesn't happen instantly. Formation of group takes time. It slowly progresses from a gathering to a team that is goal oriented. So initially will just be a group of people. This group will start becoming a team which is goal oriented or task focused. So it is not a spontaneous process. It is not like people coming together and forming a group. It takes time. So from the gathering, just from a collection of large number of people, slowly a group is developed. When I'm saying group development is the process of formation of that group and working of those members inside the group. Formation of group and working of the group together, we have to understand that to form a team that is oriented to achieve the goal. The team member or the people within the group has to go through various changes or various factors such as forming the group or coming together, interacting with one another. There may be certain clashes or conflicts within the team members. After muddling through all this process, we finally get a form or a unit which can be called as group. Now this group by the end of the formation must include people, individuals who are there to work towards a common or a shared goal or a objective. Group formation is not a spontaneous process. It doesn't happen instantly. There is just a gathering of people. From that gathering, we slowly get segregated into different units or different groups. So to form that particular unit or to form that particular group which is goal directed or which is oriented towards achievement of their goal, they have to go through a lot of process. Now that process is called as group development. Bruce Tuckman is the first person who developed the concept and model of group development. He was the first person to introduce the model for group development. Now we know what is group development. Group development is the process of forming of the group to the working of that particular group towards achieving a common goal. Now there are various phases that a group goes through during the process of group development. There are 5 different phases. We're going to see one by one what are these 5 different phases in the process of group development. The first one is forming stage. The second one is called storming phase. The third one is called norming phase. The fourth one is called performing phase, and the last and the fifth one is called as adjourning phase. So these are the 5 different stages of group development. Now we are going to see in detail about all these phases. Now let us start from the very first phase. First phase is called as forming phase. So from the term itself we can understand it is the forming phase of the group. It is also called as orientation phase. Now here what happens during the forming phase? Now these members have come together in order to achieve a common goal. We must always remember there is a common and established goal that the group should meet. So these members in the forming phase, it is a gathering of people. They come together, they start interacting with one another. So during the forming phase, people in the group get to know one another. So in this phase, it is just a large gathering of people coming and interacting with one another. During the forming phase, there is no leader for the group. It is just the forming phase. The unit is just being formed. There is no leader selected during the forming phase of the group. Also, the major goals of the group has not been established. During this phase, we are there as a group and we are getting to know one another. There are no leaders that are selected and major goals of the group has also not been established. Now, during this phase, as I said earlier, individuals come together, they interact with one another and they get to know one another. These are the members that are going to be involved making our unit. Now, here during this phase, we have to remember that all these members do not have similar kind of choices. They might have different notions about a particular thing. So there can be individual differences among the members of the group. They have their choices will be different from one another. Now we have to understand forming is the first stage. It should take time. It is the initial stage. This stage, the forming stage, must take a certain period of time. It is not to be rushed. During this period, when you are learning about new people, trust, openness among the group members starts to develop. In order to make sure that trust and openness between the members starts to develop, we have to give it time and we should not rush it. In this forming phase, members get to know one another. They also get to know the goal of the group. Why are we forming a group? There is a task for us to achieve, so hence we are forming a group. What is their expectation from the group that they can share during the forming phase? Here we have to understand during the forming phase, individual roles and responsibilities are not given clearly. Here we are just meeting people, we are interacting with one another, we are getting to know one another, and there is a certain goal that we must achieve. We know that. There is no leader and individual roles and responsibilities are unclear during this period. Now the group is formed. The forming phase is over. What is the next phase? It is called a storming phase. Now, what happens in storming phase? The group is formed, but there's no leader, there is no clear responsibilities that is divided between the members of the team. Or what is the storming phase? So we have to understand every individual is different. I have been repeating this point. Every individual is different from one another and we have different personalities. This individual characteristics that we possess, every individual has different characteristics, and that individual characteristic we have makes us different from one another, or that is our identification. Individual differences are the factors that lead to different opinion or different perception and thought of each and every individual. Now, in the storming phase, highest level of conflicts and disagreement is seen. Okay, so in the first phase, we form a team. There are few people who have come together, and as I've already said, people may not have similar kind of choices. They may not have similar notion and belief about certain things. So in the storming phase, we get to see highest level of disagreement and conflict between the members of the team. Now, in the storming phase, the people in the group, they start voicing out their opinion. People start to bargain and negotiate the differences that they have within the team members. What I might believe is not the same thing that you believe in. What I think is right for me is not the same thing that you think would be right for you. So all these differences arises during the storming phase. People talk about their thoughts and opinions during the storming phase. We get to see the highest level of conflict among the members. Now, we also have to understand that during the storming phase, people strive hard to represent themselves for a particular position. People fight for leadership. So in the storming session, what is happening once the group is formed with different people having different thoughts and different beliefs during the storming session, all these thoughts of different individuals are put forward. So once this happens, during the storming phase, there are conflicts that arises, and during the storming phase, people start fighting for the position of leadership. All this chaos that is happening within the team member, one leader will arise from the group. All these things happening inside the group, there will be one leader who will be selected for the team. So in the forming phase, we had people, but we had no leader. But during the storming phase, even if there is highest level of conflict happening, among all this chaos, we find out a particular leader. Now, storming phase or storming could be a positive experience for all the members in the group is able to achieve that group cohesiveness after the session. Once the storming phase is over, if the people are able to achieve that group cohesiveness, it becomes a positive experience for all the members in the group. Now, if they're not able to resolve the conflict, then the group may often disperse. Okay, so these people in the group, the members who form the group, if they're not able to solve the conflict, the members that have formed the group may separate. Or even if there is a group, now they have a conflict within one another, all the members needs to work together in order to achieve that common goal that they have. Now here, during the norming phase, the most important role is played by the team leader that was selected during the storming phase. So it is the team leader who acts as a motivator for the people of the group. The team leader has to act as a motivator, and if during the performing phase is when people of the group realize they are efficient and they need to utilize their efficiency in order to achieve that goal. The team leader motivates the group and the group come together, they share their experiences, they mingle with one another and they march forward with determination to achieve the given or expected goal. Now, during the performance phase or during the performing phase, members of the group, they make a decision by thinking rationally. Instead of focusing on emotional issues, they start to shift their focus on the goal that they need to achieve and how can they work efficiently as a team to achieve that particular goal. Now, once the performance phase is done, we move on to the next phase, that is adjourning phase. So what is an adjourning phase? Adjourning phase is the termination phase of the group. Now, during the adjourning phase, the members of the group separate from that group. That is letting go of the group structure. Okay, so during the adjourning phase, there is termination to the group or there is a stop to the group. That is, the members of the group, they start to separate from the group. They let go of the group structure that was formed. Not all the groups progresses and reaches the adjourning phase. Okay, we have to understand, just because there's a formation of group does not mean all the groups that are formed reaches to adjourning phase. And also we have to remember that some groups are permanent groups. There is no adjourning phase to that particular group. Not every group reaches to the adjourning phase, and there are few groups that are permanent which does not have an adjourning phase. Now, reasons for group disbanding, reasons for group people to separate from one another could vary from one group to another. It is always not necessary that reasons for the group members to separate from one another is always not the same. It varies from one group to another. But the primary reason for group disbanding, for the separation of the members of the group, is usually accomplishment of the task. As I have been saying, that to achieve a certain task, we make a group. A group is usually formed to achieve a certain task, to achieve a specific task. So once the task is achieved, what happens? The members of the group, they separate from one another. They let go of the group structure. Okay, so the primary reason for the group disbanding is usually the accomplishment of the goals by the individuals of the team, or it could also be individuals from the team wanting to walk out of the group. There can be members in the group who does not want to continue the group. So if those individuals leave, even then the group structure is separated. Even then, the members of the group are separated. So these are the 5 phases of group development. So to conclude, today we've seen what is group dynamics and what are the different stages of group development. In our next session, we will be seeing what are the conditions that influence group dynamics and what are the strategies to promote group dynamics. Thank you.